Live from the Hyatt Regency at the Arch, HEC Media is proud to present the 2018 Arch Grants Gala. Now, here is your host, Brenda Madden.
Tonight, you will meet the new class of startups and early-stage businesses who have been selected to receive $50,000 equity-free grants and a host of pro bono and heavily discounted professional services. Tonight's event is sold out, so everyone is sort of milling about here and getting into their seats in order to enjoy this evening's program, which of course will be the exciting announcement of the class of 2018, the 20 startups and early stage businesses who've been selected to receive Arch Grants for this coming year. Now, our MC for this evening is Ellen Prinzi. Ellen is CEO of Oleo City, and that is a personalized city guide application that highlights the best that a city has to offer. Oleo City is also a former Arch Grants recipient from the class of 2015, so another example of a business that has put down roots in St. Louis and is continuing to grow and thrive and create jobs and economic opportunities in our city. Now, starting this Monday and continuing through mid-December, HEC Media is going to give you some in-depth looks at the different Arch Grants recipients. A reminder too that you can continue this conversation and begin it on social media using the hashtag Arch Grants Gala. So we hope you will do that, and you can find the links to all those platforms at hecmedia.org. As you can hear, things are getting started now, so in just a few seconds we're going to go up to Ellen up at the podium. Here she is now.
Housekeeping Notes. My name is Ellen Prinzi, and I'm your host this evening. I introduced the Steve Davis trio earlier. They are going to be joining us periodically throughout the evening. HEC Media is here filming, so you may be on camera, so best behavior, everyone. Being with you here tonight is truly an honor, a full circle moment, if you will. My company, Oleo City, won an Arch Grant 3 years ago, and I stood here before many of you so nervous. I was hoping my hands would stop shaking. That's a real live shot from 3 years ago at this gala. My mom was in my head, hold your posture up straight, and hoping I could remember all my lines. But aside from the nerves, what I remember most from that night, and ever since I got the call that we'd won an Arch Grant, was an overwhelming sense of pride and a feeling that we were a part of something special. So tonight, my hope is to inspire and inform you about how much Arch Grants has done, not only in my entrepreneurial journey, but in the lives of the companies of the other recipients who are here tonight and elsewhere. At each of your table, you will find an Arch Grants recipient, and I hope everyone gets a chance to meet them and hear their stories. They're a pretty great crew, if I do say so myself. So telling stories happens to be my job. At Oleo City, we are a content marketing company that tells stories of cities, individuals, movements, and events. And I'm thankful to be here with you telling the story of Arch Grants. Tonight, we are going to be shedding light on the sounds and the soul of what is making St. Louis a hub for creativity and innovation. Like fashion fund entrepreneurs and maker Audra Noyes, who designed this fabulous dress that I'm wearing this evening. To legendary entrepreneurs like Sam Fox, who is being honored later this evening. He does not design dresses, but successful in his own right. And to my own team at Oleo City, thank you so much for your hard work. I can only hope to inspire you as much as you inspire me every day. So I've always thought of Arch Grants, even before I won an Arch Grant, as the beating heart of this innovation community. The origin story is one of accomplished professionals wanting to pay it forward for the city and the next generation of doers behind them. The transformation story of St. Louis is still being written, but one thing's for sure, and that's the role that Arch Grants is playing. But what does that sound like? In 2018, what does that look and feel like? Before we dive into where we are going, I'd like to take a look back at the last decades and beyond to get some perspective. This year's gala is all about the sound of innovation. And as every entrepreneur in the room knows, The innovation is a process, and at any given time, it can sound exhilarating or like sheer torture.
What is the sound of innovation?
Hi, my name is Ellen Princey. I'm the founder and CEO of OleoCity. Do you ever stop and wonder if this innovation ecosystem existed a decade ago? That maybe a young Jack Dorsey would have started Twitter here, and Twitter HQ would be on Washington Avenue instead of Market Street in San Francisco? I love that daydream because I know that there's Arch Grants companies in this room that are going to be the next Jack Dorsey. And so many of you in this room and the founders of Arch Grants knew something needed to change. And I am proof that that's working. See, I grew up in Murray, Kentucky, and women did not start companies in Murray, Kentucky. Even after living in San Francisco and New York for most of my 20s, did that narrative become one that I thought could be mine. Until I lived here. St. Louis not only gave me this confidence and inspiration to believe that I could do it, it empowered me with an ecosystem and tools to get moving. And at the core of those tools was Arch Grants. Much like Dorsey, I didn't see the potential when I moved here a decade ago. To be honest, I came here kicking and screaming. I thought I was living the life on the coasts. I traded a Gramercy apartment in Manhattan for humidity, a very strange style of pizza, and a newfound interest in where I went to high school. It was very strange to me at the time. I moved here to work in one of the most exciting front offices in the game of baseball, accepting a baseball operations position with the St. Louis Cardinals. So I did get a better baseball team. Fast forward to marriage and a couple kids later. Not that that's a footnote, sweetheart. But that career was not something that I wanted to return to. Instead, an idea I'd had for years was circling in my head. And it was during this ideation period, a friend who had just gotten her MBA from WashU encouraged me to dig deeper into St. Louis. Her two recommendations were something called T-Rex and the Arch Grants program. You know, and I didn't realize it at the time, but back in 2018, and I tell everyone this who asks me about Arch Grants, winning that grant was the single most defining moment in the life of our company. Way beyond the money, $50,000 is great, but as every entrepreneur knows, capital is not what makes you successful. I mean, it sure helps. Some of my early employees were fellow Arch Grants winners. I was introduced to my largest investor through a fellow Arch Grant recipient. My current and longtime CTO is from another Arch Grants company that housed next to us in T-Rex. All of this early support from this ecosystem helped me build such a rich foundation. This program, this city, they wanted me. They wanted me to build something here. My success was important to them. And that's a very powerful thing to be wanted. And we are going to continue to give that powerful message to the new cohort of winners later this evening. Now, to keep the line moving, it's with great admiration and respect that I get to introduce one of the founders of Arch Grants, a man I've enjoyed getting to know over the last 3 years and continue to be inspired by, Mr. Jerry Schlichter.
Thanks, Ellen, and welcome to all of you tonight. It's over 950 people filling up this room and sold out. This is our 6th gala since the founding of Arch Grants now, and we've created an award that we're going to use tonight to honor just an exemplary example of a great founder and builder of a business, Ambassador Sam Fox. Sam, we're so excited to be able to do this, and we appreciate your accepting the award. You'll hear from Sam later in the evening. Right now, I'm honored to, at this point, introduce our gala co-chairs, Michael and Carol Steinberg, who, although probably they don't really need that much of an introduction to many of you. They represent two things: not only the entrepreneurial spirit that we're celebrating here tonight, and that is the model for the entrepreneurs in Arch Grants, but also an extraordinary philanthropic spirit. They have been involved in countless generous activities and support for organizations, giving not only their resources, but also their time in a very deep way. And that's because they see a vision of St. Louis that we at Arch Grants also see, which is a vibrant community, keeping our young people, building companies to be successful, and building the future with their efforts. For many years, they've also been recognized for what they've done, but this is an example of them giving back. And before I introduce them, I want to make an announcement tonight. As some of you may know, Arch Grants is looking for the future, long-term future, not only looking at the next year or the next cohort. And by the way, these companies tonight, the judges have said, are the highest quality yet of any cohort, and we think that's a tribute to the brand of Arch Grants in St. Louis. So some of you may know we're going to work to build a major endowment that will ensure that there's a continuing, burgeoning pipeline of entrepreneurs year after year after year, locked in for the long term in perpetuity, so that we can say to the country and say to the world, St. Louis will be a place for the long term. If you want to bring your business, come here, because you'll be surrounded by an increasing group of high-quality winners of a global competition. Michael and Carol understand the importance of that long-term vision and have decided to join other generous St. Louis leaders. So we're announcing tonight that they are making a commitment to the Arch Grants Endowment of $500,000. Michael and Carol, would you stand? They'll be, okay, they're over there. They'll be up here in a minute. It's a tremendous recognition and display of philanthropic support for that long-term vision. And we thank you for your leadership, we thank you for your commitment, and we thank you for your view of trying to build the most vibrant St. Louis we can. With that, I introduce to all of you the co-chairs of tonight's gala, Michael and Carol Steinberg.
Oopsie. Thanks, Jerry. I'm glad to be part of this, and it's an honor for Carol and myself and our entire family to watch Arch Grants grow and evolve into this wonderful organization that we see tonight. We're thrilled that our contribution will sustain the Arch Grants and this organization for the long term, ensuring that St. Louis and our entire region will come to attract and retain new companies and ideas and entrepreneurs to our region. It's our privilege to be here this evening, but more importantly, it's our privilege to be able to give. As the chairs of the Arch Grants 6th Annual Gala, Carol and I have had the pleasure of welcoming and thanking many of you who are here tonight. As Jerry mentioned, there's over 950 people community leaders, entrepreneurs who have come out to celebrate and show that the startup in St. Louis is really working. But it's great to see the scale of this event and honor Sam Fox this evening. I'm sure you've all heard of the ripple effect. I call it the converging ripples. We can view St. Louis as a pond. Many people think that St. Louis and the entire region is a calm situation that has been that way for many years. But Arch Grants is changing that. By throwing a pebble, a rock, a boulder, we create a wave of energy, a ripple of energy that can create many, many opportunities. Whatever we can do, we must make a ripple and continue that. I was reading the other day from a gentleman by the name of Victor Webster who wrote, anything we can do, even the slightest things we do, we can have a ripple effect and the percussions that emulate. If you throw a pebble into the water of one side of the ocean, it can create a tidal wave in the other side. And St. Louis is ready for a tidal wave. I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I believe that we have to have change and disruption that will make St. Louis the wheelhouse in this entire region better for that. As Carol and I have heard many speakers here the previous years, we're excited about this evening and the commitment to lead this organization for tomorrow and make sure that it's endowed, that we can continue to give the gifts of all these entrepreneurs. I have no doubt that the inspiration will continue in this room from over 950 people. I'm sure that the people tonight that are going to receive these Arch Grants will make a difference. We're proud to be St. Louisans, we're proud to be in this region, and together we hope we can create more ripples to come. Enjoy your dinner, thank you.
Hello and welcome back. Dinner is wrapping up here, so in just a couple of minutes we're going to be heading into the rest of this evening's program. But joining me first is Amanda Honigford from HEC Media. Amanda produced the video that you watched earlier that kind of shared the excitement of Pitch Day. That looks like it must have been a blast to be there.
It was a really interesting day. To start these, you've got 40 finalists who are going for what are only 20 spots. And they are presenting to about 20 judges at one time, so they're filling an entire classroom in Chaffetz Business School with judges. And then that founder has to go in and convince all 20 of them that they should be given this Arch Grant.
And when you think of it, to even get to that point, you have to be the best of the best, and then to have it whittled down to just 20. Was it hard even as a spectator to choose?
Oh, absolutely. We heard the pitches of a couple of companies that I was so surprised didn't get it. And they're talking about hundreds of applications every year and several rounds before you even get to Pitch Day. So to get to Pitch Day is an achievement in and of itself.
One of the things I'm always impressed with year after year when this list comes out is just how diverse it is and just the wide range of industries that are represented.
Yeah, it's been getting more diverse every year. Last year was the first year we saw a bunch of fashion companies. This is the first year we're seeing some food entering the mix. So it started as a lot of ag tech, a lot of tech, and every year they just keep bringing in a more diverse portfolio and bringing more people into this city.
You got a chance too to sort of really get to know some of these recipients. What struck you about what got them to this point and made them the type of a professional who could pitch an idea like this?
Yeah, we're seeing companies at all different stages. We have Big Heart Tea, who this was their very first pitch competition, and they just nailed it. So they're a recipient this year, which is really exciting. Lisa Govro has been building this company in different forms. She started as Retrailer Tea, where she has a refurbished trailer, and she was just selling it at farmers markets and stuff. And now she's built it into a bigger company that's in just about every state, multiple countries, and Big Heart Tea is really expanding into a herbal marketplace now and is going to help other food, beverage, and product manufacturers ethically source herbs and spices. And then you have someone like Good Life Growing, who were just a couple of friends who thought this would be a fun side project. And then they thought, oh, well, we'll apply for Arch Grants. If we don't win, might be a good experience. They won. They've got this massive greenhouse complex over in North St. Louis, and they're doing really interesting things with agri-farming. So it's kind of a mix, but a lot of them they're entering on a whim, hoping, but you can't be guaranteed.
And you've also gotten a chance to really do some great coverage that HEC is going to be sharing now, right, in the next coming weeks. Tell us a little bit about that. People can actually really get to meet these entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so the first two companies, Clever Real Estate and Gift a Meal, that have won this year, will be up on the site on Monday, and then throughout the rest of the year, we'll be releasing more each week. We're talking to Generation Mindful that helps with kids learning mindfulness and learning to be in touch with their emotions. We're talking to Good Life Growing and Big Heart Tea that I mentioned. We've got Equian SmartBit and Wi-Fi Plug and so many different companies that are going to be coming to HECmedia.org over the next couple of weeks, and you can find them really easily. You just go to the business tab and to Arch Grants, and we have every Arch Grant recipient we've covered in a nice contained spot.
And also in that vein, I would say check out archgrants.org. They have a fabulous page presentation that allows you to click on and really get to know the companies that are making a difference since this program's inception in 2012. I mean, it's amazing the impact. And what's really amazing too is the success rate. Isn't it something like 90% of these companies are still out there thriving and growing and changing the landscape?
Yeah, most companies have been thriving. Most companies have stayed. Even several that have exited or whose startups have failed, they've come back to start something else new here. So they're still creating jobs here. And almost all of these companies, because of their Arch Grant, they were able to hire someone and create another job in the region. They're moving here and staying here, creating tons of jobs. So Arch Grants has really seen a big economic impact from these entrepreneurs that they are putting some faith in.
2018 has been a really big year for Arch Grants in general. They welcomed a new executive director and also Emily Lowes-Bush, of course. And a few weeks ago, they made a huge announcement regarding the Chaffetz, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, STL launch. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so like you said, Emily's celebrating her first year on the job. This summer she did, so this is her second gala. And they got together with the Chaffetz group to launch a contest that fits the need for a lot of their startups that are past using, the funding and such that they got from this first grant, but aren't quite big enough to go for big venture capital funding. So this is going to be open to Arch Grant recipients that are small to mid-sized, that need sort of an extra boost, a little more mentorship. And so it's going to be, again, another very competitive pitch because they have very competitive companies in their roster.
The real key thing here too is that after early stage companies get to this point of having been through this amazing Arch Grants experience where you get so much support, a $50,000 equity-free grant, which is huge, to be able to get that kind of capital without having to trade a stake in your business is amazing. But beyond that, there's a real weird gap period for all early stage companies, even when they are incredibly strong and very well led, and it sounds like this is a program that gets them over that sort of bridge into having access to more capital and more growth.
Yeah, that's exactly what Amit and the founders of Talify were saying, that they've been here and they felt embraced and they love being here, but they're past their Arch Grant money and they're not prepared to be giving away a bunch of equity in a big venture capital round. And so they're saying something like this is going to be really, really beneficial to a startup like theirs, like Talify. And I think we're going to see that from a lot of the past recipients. All of the past recipients that we've heard from have been so excited about this opportunity. And I think it also makes the first competition even more valuable, because by winning an Arch Grant tonight, these companies might be able to participate in this as well down the line, which is an opportunity they wouldn't have otherwise.
And I think one of the really exciting things too is to look and see that some of these companies did not have a connection to St. Louis before they became Arch Grants recipients, but they were happy to base part of their operations here and to get involved in the startup culture, and so many of them have stayed and made this their home.
Yeah, they get here and they realize everything we have to offer, how affordable it is compared to cities they've come from, and they really embrace St. Louis. You hear such dedicated testimonials for the city that you don't hear from a lot of people who've lived here forever, because they've been elsewhere and they haven't. And now that they've gotten here, they didn't know there was so much for them. Our startup and our innovation community is really bolstering. There's so many different avenues for these startups to get involved in, and there's just a lot that St. Louis has to offer in general.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for joining us. Hello and welcome back. Dinner is winding down here and we're waiting for the program to continue this evening, and of course the really big moment when you get to meet those 20 2018 Arch Grant recipients, and they will come up and show you where the future of St. Louis is headed. As we wait for all that to get underway, we're going to give you a little bit more background and share some really impressive facts just about Arch Grants and the impact that it has had on the St. Louis economy. Now, Arch Grants has a very clear and direct mission, and that is to build a new economy in the St. Louis region by attracting and retaining innovative entrepreneurs. And they are doing that, of course, through their global startup competition. Now, here's how that works. Since 2012, Arch Grants has awarded more than $6 million in cash grants to more than 114 early stage startup businesses that were ready to call St. Louis home in exchange for all of those services and the incredible mentoring that Arch Grants provides, which really many former recipients say is the thing that made the huge difference. Now, things are getting started, so we're going to take you up to the podium to enjoy the rest of this evening's program.
All right, I'd like to welcome to the stage Alex Hyman.
Good evening. I have the honor this evening of sitting with Ambassador Fox and his family, and I said I'm going to be the one getting the awards portion kicked off. And Ambassador Fox leaned in and said, here's the advice I have for you. And he said, whenever you're going to give a speech, make sure to ruffle the papers enough so they don't stick together and so that you can get through your remarks. Thank you, sir. Again, my name is Alex Hyman, and I'm excited to kick off the next part of our evening's program. I'm up here tonight not only representing myself, but also 16 other members of the extended Arch Grants family, my colleagues at Less Annoying CRM. From the beginning, our company has had a straightforward mission to provide a simple, low-cost, and easy-to-use customer relationship management, CRM, software tool for small businesses and nonprofits. Today, we are honored to be serving over 8,000 small teams based in over 70 countries. We are also proud to be a bootstrapped company, having never taken outside equity funding. A little over 4 years ago, our tiny company was based in San Francisco with everyone working from their apartments. And if you've been to San Francisco recently, you know those apartments are very tiny. So we had very tiny little small offices all around San Francisco. But we decided that we wanted to bring everyone together in a single office in a single city. We began considering several cities to move to, including Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Denver, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Boston, and St. Louis. We had also heard about this Arch Grants competition and decided to apply. Coincidentally, everyone involved with Less Annoying CRM at that time had gone to school here in St. Louis, which was the initial reason the city was on our radar. In May 2014, we received the news that we've been accepted into the incoming class of Arch Grants recipients. And just want to take this chance now to thank you, Arch Grants, for taking a chance on us. In 4 years, we've gone from our first 300 square foot downtown office space, and coming from the small spaces in San Francisco, it seemed like luxurious space to us here at T-Rex, to a brand new 9,000 square foot office at 11th and Olive that we moved into a few months ago. In that same period, our team has grown to 17 people, and only 4 are originally from St. Louis. The 13 others, including myself, all attended college or grad school here, but originally come from across 8 states and 2 countries. If you've been wondering how can we keep more of the talented students who attend our locally based universities here in St. Louis after they graduate, I'm here to testify that Arch Grants is a big part of the solution. Tonight, we are honoring Ambassador Sam Fox. He is a tremendous inspiration for me personally and so many other entrepreneurs here in St. Louis. And if you don't know why, you're about to in a minute. Every Arch Grant recipient that commits to growing their company in St. Louis stands on the shoulders of those that came before us. And we know that this wonderful place, that our company, that our employees, and after this weekend, the Arch Grants class of 2018 will call home, would not be what it is today without the hard work, passion, leadership, and generosity of people like Sam Fox. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Chairman and CEO of TierPoint, the Chairman and CEO of Sequel3, and the Chairman of Staylock Storage. No, that's not three different people. It's the 2017 Arch Grants Entrepreneur of the Year, Jerry Kent, who will present this year's award.
Thanks, Alex. Good evening, everyone. Great to see the St. Louis entrepreneurial community, show up in force. Tonight, I have the pleasure and, frankly, the distinct honor of introducing this year's Arch Grants Entrepreneur Award recipient, Ambassador Sam Fox. Sam started out in humble beginnings from his hometown of Deloge, Missouri, and today he's a world-class entrepreneur, a great philanthropist, and a key driver of civic activities in St. Louis. I work with Sam on the boards of Washington University in St. Louis and Civic Progress, and when Sam speaks, everyone stops and listens for his sage, no-nonsense advice. Sam founded Harbor Group in 1976, and since then, Harbor Group has acquired over 200 companies around the world across 43 diverse industries. In addition to its size, Harbor Group, like Sam, has a sterling reputation. It's known for producing long-term and lasting value, and it does that by working alongside high-performing management teams while providing deep operational resources. This approach is founded on mutual respect and trust, and that starts with the values that Sam instills in everyone in his company, and that is honesty, integrity, and commitment. I know from experience that if Sam says he's going to do something, you can rest assured it's going to be done. Though Sam's business dealings have spanned the globe, Harbor Group's headquarters have always remained in St. Louis, reflecting a strong commitment to our region. When Sam stepped down as Harbor Group's chairman and CEO in 2007 to accept the high honor of serving as the United States ambassador to Belgium, the world stage didn't pull him away from our city. Thankfully, he returned home in early 2009 to resume his extraordinary engagement in St. Louis civic and community affairs. From the Boy Scouts to the St. Louis Art Museum to the United Way to Washington University in St. Louis, most charitable causes in our region have benefited from his and his wife Marilyn's generosity. I'm not just talking about the financial generosity, which has been extraordinary. I'm talking about the time and the leadership that they provide. Sam and Marilyn have led these organizations, and they've chaired their boards. They've been willing to give of themselves in the most meaningful ways possible. From my experience, success in business doesn't happen in a vacuum and can't be separated from success in family life. Sam will be the first to tell you that the best deal he negotiated was when Marilyn agreed to marry him. And now, save your applause for this. Recently, Sam and Marilyn just celebrated their 65th wedding anniversary. I have something even more remarkable. Their son, Jeff, he assures me in all the time he's never seen them argue, not even once. And that's pretty incredible and consider they raised 5 children. And now they have 15 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild, and they dote on all of them. The life partnership that they have formed should be an inspiration to all of us. Now, Sam is known to be a loyal friend also, and with decades-long friendships, and he's known for switching anything around to join his friends for another love in his life, and that's his hunting and fishing trips, capped off with a nice glass of red wine. Sam Fox embodies the passion, drive, and humility needed for success in business and ultimately in life. His civic engagement is a testament to how much he cares about the future, and his philanthropic investments demonstrate that Boy Scout principle instilled in him a long time ago, that you should endeavor to leave the world a better place than you find it. For the entrepreneurs joining the Arch Grants family tonight, I encourage you to model yourselves after Sam and take note of his mark on the world. I can think of no better person to receive this award tonight than my friend and colleague, Sam Fox.
Have no doubt about it, Sam Fox is an entrepreneur in his own right.
The future entrepreneurs would marvel at what he's done with his career, what he's done with the businesses that he's been involved in, that he's bought and sold over the years, what he's done relative to the community. As I've told him on many occasions, when I grow up, I want to be just like him.
I think of Sam as having a couple of passions. Certainly one is his business, one is his entrepreneur interest, and third is his family.
He's an example for the kinds of entrepreneurs that Arch Grant wants to bring to St. Louis and supports here in St. Louis.
Well, I was born and raised in Belgium, Missouri. It was a town of 1,500 population.
He was the youngest child. His mother and father came from Russia.
All of my friends, their fathers, they either worked in the mines or they were from the farm.
Grew up, without anything. He was an Eagle Scout, can you imagine?
And when I graduated high school, I think I'm the only one who was going to college.
Basically worked his way through Washington University.
And my sister had pointed her finger, you've got to get a college education. That was way back when that was rather rare.
That molded him to learn the value of work ethic and family. I mean, I think it just set the table for him.
He had the vision, he had the dream, he had the idea of the Harbor Group. And at the time Sam formed it, there weren't many organizations like that.
I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to either create businesses from scratch or buy them and make them a lot better. And that's what Harbor Group's about.
Harbor Group has built over 200 companies since he started it. He's a very detail-oriented guy. He understands that you don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect.
When we started Harbor Group, I think I was the 5th or 6th employee, and if we were trying to get an acquisition done, I always would want to bring Sam in to close the deal because he had the personality and he's infectious.
What we have decision makers at all levels. And everyone knows certain individuals have got the responsibility to make the last call about anything. But beyond that, everyone is equal. When you're here, you're family. You know it. I don't care what your job is, you're family. I had been either asked or it was suggested that I might be asked to serve the government as an ambassador several times before I accepted it. As a matter of fact, when the president called me, he said, Foxy, he said, I've asked you twice before and you've turned me down. It's the third and last time I'm asking you.
When he was ambassador to Belgium, they really had never had an ambassador. Some people tell me, in fact, one of the former ambassadors before Sam is a friend of mine in Sun Valley, and he tells me that Sam was better known in Belgium than any ambassador he ever knew. And but that's because he's so gregarious.
He has a way, whether it's in Harbor Group or Washington University or the Jewish Federation or the Art Museum, He raises people's sights.
I think he thinks he's lucky. He's worked very hard, and I can tell you he shares it more than anybody that I know.
And their involvement in United Way, their involvement in Variety Children's Charity, their involvement in so many other charities and the community, in improving the quality of life for people in our community, for the entire community. Rising tides rise all boats, and that's what you see consistently with the Fox family, and he's leading the charge.
The students are surprised when they find out and they meet Sam that he's a real person. It's the name of their school, so it's not always clear that this is a real person. So when they meet him, they're kind of in awe. And then he's also disarming because he's so personable and so warm and so interested in the kids that I think it's sort of like they're grandparents of the school.
To me, business is not work. It's play. People talk about going to work. Talk about going to enjoyment. Because if you enjoy what you do, you want to be there and you want to do it, and you'll be successful. Wow, wow, wow. You know, I wrote this speech today and had it typed, but I think more has been said about me already than I need to say. And I'm inclined to say that it's a great evening, and I can't tell you how happy I am to be with you, but I don't think that would be fair to my wife, because my wife thinks I'm going to make a talk. Where is she? There she is. Marilyn, would you stand up? Let me say this. People have said that I have a knack for making good contracts. But I want to tell you, I've never, ever made a contract nearly as good as the contract that I made with my sweetheart. I know you're going to think I'm exaggerating, but this is the absolute God's truth. Marilyn and I have now been married for 60 years. And in that 60 years, we have never had an argument. Differences of opinion, yes. Sometimes expressed strongly, yes. But never a true argument. I couldn't do it and she couldn't do it. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. Well, first of all, as I look around the room, I see a lot of people here that I recognize, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but because they recognize me too. I'll try to keep this as short as possible. I was asked to make a few talks about this organization, or a few words about this organization. And first I would say it's remarkable that this organization is only in its 7th year. And look what it has done. I'm amazed that any organization that's been alive for about that many years would have 950 people out for dinner. Holy mackerel. What a great, great organization. Let me say it's an honor for me to receive an award from this organization. And I follow in the footprints of some recipients before me who I have great admiration for: Jerry Kent, Maxine Clark, Roger Riney, Michael Nydorf, and my dear friend Dave Stewart. And if I had to put on paper a description of an operating organization that St. Louis has always needed, it would be Arch Grants. Let me explain while I say that. I think there's a certain amount of concern about the national image of our metropolitan areas. We do have some problems, but I can assure you they are being addressed here and now, here in St. Louis, just as they are being addressed in most other big metropolitan areas with the right leadership. I think that Mayor Cruson would probably, and I saw her here tonight. Are you still here? And will you agree with me tonight on that subject? Amen. The reality is, we're all blessed to be part of this great community. In St. Louis, we have what very few other metropolitan areas have: the advantage of being both a big city and a small community. And our cultural institutions are like those of any other of the big cities. Our symphony, our zoo, our botanical garden, to name a few, are right up there, in many cases, better than what you'll find in other major cities. Cities such as Chicago, Los Angeles, Boston, even New York doesn't hold a candle to us. Our Forest Park is 1.5 times the size of the well-known Central Park in New York, and far more beautiful, I might add, and any of you who have been there and who will agree with that. Our History Museum is one of the best in the country. Our Art Museum and the nearby Muni Opera is a true treasure. The ground around our arch that was just recently renovated is one of the most beautiful public spaces in America. And even though so much so, and dollars have gone into these wonderful attractions, many of them are available to the public for free, although we put fortunes into them. I've seen it firsthand. I've been associated with a number of those organizations. And the main thing is being able to get the public in, particularly the public that can't afford to pay the cost that it normally takes to get in. And we've been able to make those arrangements right here in St. Louis. God bless us all. And even though we spent so many dollars and so forth, many of them are available to the public free. As I just said, no cost. And I read it over again, but that's okay. Our cost of living in this town is very, very small. No more than living in a very small town. But we're not a very small town. If we were to merge all of our towns into one that make up this community, if we were to merge all of the communities into one, I am told our population would make us the 9th largest city in this country. The 9th largest. And as large as it is and as easy it is to get around, one is rarely more than 20 minutes away from anywhere we want to go. And when we get there, we can actually find a place to park, usually. Try that in Washington or Boston or Alaska or Atlanta or any place else. It just doesn't happen. Our young Arch Grant recipients, many are with us tonight, understand that they can make a difference here. A difference for themselves, but they're also doing it as a difference for our great city. And a lot faster and with less trouble than in most other cities by doing it right here. And there's so much going on here for these young people. Just think. The network of trails and greenways, tremendous walkable and bicycling areas, all kinds of sports teams, low-cost real estate. The list goes on and on, north, south, east, and west. What a wonderful place to live and work. And yet, many citizens who've never been here think of us only as a flyover community. If we could only bring them down to earth, they would be truly surprised. Because if they were fortunate enough to meet our Arch Grants, wow. Through the efforts of just a few well-motivated private citizens, people like Jerry Schlechter, Joe Schlafly, Bob Guller, this organization, in a very few short years, have shown that we can attract wonderful young talent to settle here and show them that this is a great place to start a business and to raise a family. All we need to do is help them with a start, to start their business, and let them know how much we appreciate them. Arch Grants has played an absolutely critical role in just doing that, and injecting new energy, confidence, trust in our regional economy. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have 90 new businesses operating in St. Louis today, all because of Arch Grants and the people who work there. And Arch Grants has only been around for a very few years. How about a big round of applause for this great organization? Finally, it's a delight to be associated with this organization, and I would be delighted to any organization that has done so much as this organization has for our community. Thanks to all of you who have worked so hard to make Arch Grants what it is today. And lastly, I'm indeed honored to receive your award tonight. Thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Emily Lozabush. I'm the Executive Director at Arch Grants. Thank you. And I get to stand on this massive, gorgeous stage, once again conceived by creative genius and Arch Grants board member Richard Tao. Thank you, Richard. And tell all of you what an honor it is to lead this organization that represents everything I want and everything I hope for my hometown. But before I do that, I'd like to ask the Arch Grants Board of Directors to stand and be recognized. This is the most passionate, supportive, open group of leaders I've had the pleasure to work with. Thank you for all that you do for our organization and for our city. Many of you will recognize this crew behind me. This is the Arch Grants staff team. Yes, please, big round of applause. Never has the philosophy, hire great people and then get out of their way, been more accurately used than to describe this staff. We have some pretty big ambitions at Arch Grants, and this group of people moves mountains every day with a heck of a lot of heart, a ton of talent, and a healthy sense of humor. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank all of our sponsors for tonight's event, particularly our presenting sponsor, the Fox Family Foundation. As we've all heard throughout the night, the Fox family does so much for our community, and we greatly appreciate your support of our mission. All right, here we go. So if I were to ask you to find the words to describe what innovation sounds like, what images would you try to conjure up? For some of you, it may be the sound of cement pouring into the foundation of a building, or the sound of clicking on a keyboard as code's being written for a new app, or the sound of a heart that's beating thanks to a new piece of equipment that saved a woman's life. For me, it sounds like people asking questions about a new idea, not to challenge, but to expand their own knowledge. The founders who become our recipients live and die by these sounds every day. But what we get to do at Arch Grants in a million different ways every day is ask a slightly different question. While our founders ponder, what does the future sound like? We get to ask, what does our future city sound like? If I were to ask you, what does Silicon Valley sound like? You'd have plenty of ideas about what that sounds like technology, like wealth, like speed, like millionaires walking around sleek offices in hoodies and jeans. What about Austin? What does Austin sound like? Like cutting-edge innovation, quirky hipsters, energetic young people, embracing the weird. Or Boston. Boston's elite. It's proud. It's ambitious. It's academic. What about St. Louis? What do we sound like? What's our unique brand? Words that come to mind for me are things like purpose, humility, hustle, authenticity, potential. But just as important as the words that we currently use to describe our city, I want you to think about what St. Louis could sound like. Because I think we're in a really unique position where we're perfectly positioned to help define the sound of our future here. And we are the people who get to figure that out. Could we represent boldness, confidence, intentionality, curiosity? I don't think it's that much of a stretch. And it's not like we're starting from scratch. We stand on the shoulders of many of the leaders who are in this room tonight, who have shown us that building a company or a movement or a cultural shift isn't about managing. It's about leading. Ambassador Fox exemplifies leadership, as do our past Arch Grant Entrepreneur Award recipients, Jerry Kent, Dave Stewart, Michael Nydorf, Roger Riney, Maxine Clark. Those are some broad shoulders to stand on and to build from. And that's what I think about when I think about Arch Grants, emerging leaders. So with that in mind, I'd like to ask all of you to do a little end state realization with me. The year is 2028, and we're standing up here honoring past Arch Grant recipient, Anna Founder. Anna has just joined Civic Progress and taken a leadership role with a children's organization. And as we honor Anna, we tell the story of her success and the lives that she's impacted. We bring up one of her first employees, Liam, onto the stage to talk about how her vision and her leadership brought him back to St. Louis after he vowed he'd never come back to his hometown. Since coming back and rediscovering his hometown, he's also decided to get into politics, and recently just successfully won a seat as an alderman in his ward, and vows to demand intentionality in the development of that area. We show pictures of the floor she leased when her company got too big for their co-working space in T-Rex and built out 9,000 square feet in an old 1920s building downtown. And then we transition to a picture of the entire downtown building she purchased when she pivoted her company and needed more space. We highlight the groundbreaking articles she's published about how to best motivate and excite employees and the students she's impacted as a professor at WashU. And then we get into her personal life and what it's meant for her to put down roots in St. Louis. How she started a nonprofit organization aimed at bringing the transformative power of music to children and families with limited resources. How she and her partner purchased their first home in Shaw and then their next in Kirkwood. And then we'd start to tug at the heartstrings a bit. We'd bring her three beautiful children on stage with her as we celebrate this great St. Louis leader. But there'd be a surprise, because years ago through her work, she'd met an infant, a complete stranger, in need of a kidney transplant, and donated her kidney so that he could live. We'd definitely bring that kid on stage to give her a hug. We'd stand in awe of her accomplishments and the impact she's had on our city, and remember back to that night in mid-November 2018, when she received her Arch Grant and moved her company and her life to St. Louis. So, Anna's a line drawing, and we've never actually had a recipient named Anna Founder. But every one of the accomplishments and contributions I just noted in that fictional story is a real-life example from one of our recipients. Everything I just mentioned has happened and is happening every day because of this organization. Now think about Anna's story and multiply that by hundreds. Each one a founder who is finding their place in this community because of Arch Grants, specifically because of the support of the people in this room. When you think of it that way, and think of the $173 million in follow-on capital that our companies have generated in just 6 years, and the $135 million in revenue they've generated, and the almost 1,400 jobs they've created, and you look at where that curve is going, then you begin to understand this movement that we're building. But when you lay on top of that the leadership potential of real-life Anna founders like Tandeep Chadha and Ellen Prinzi and Jake Loctus and Melanie Igwe and hundreds of others, you can understand the depth of this movement. Every one of these recipients has a story. They've hired, they've served, they've mentored, they've enriched our community in a million different ways. And that's what it sounds like and looks like and feels like for Arch Grants to transform a region. So back to St. Louis. What do we sound like? We sound like a chorus of builders and creators and disruptors and change makers who are gaining steam and forming the St. Louis of the future. I can say without a moment's hesitation that it's been one of the biggest honors of my life to be a part of that. There's no limit to the things that we can accomplish by propping up and supporting and joining these entrepreneurs that come to our city to build their companies and build their lives. And with that in mind, I have the honor of introducing you to the 2018 cohort of Arch Grant recipients.
We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
Hi, I'm Aiden Livingston, the CEO and founder of Thermo Ai, and most people don't realize, but currently power plants operate at 33% efficiency, meaning 2/3 of the energy in the system is wasted. We've developed an artificial intelligence that can optimize real-time production, saving millions in fuel and drastically reducing emissions.
Big Heart Tea Company is a national tea company that is on a covert mission to make people feel good. We are committed to demystifying the world of herbs by pioneering traceability through scale and direct trade.
Balto helps large enterprise customer service, sales, collections, and other compliance teams improve revenue and save calls. And what our software does is understand phone conversations and in real time tell the agents in these big call centers what to say as the call is happening.
Check the Queue tracks wait times in real time at venues like airports and stadiums, helping those venues not only improve their revenue, but also transform their customers' experiences.
Max is the ultimate mobile application that physicians are using daily to explain to patients their condition and treatment options using imagery that can be personalized, videos, prediction tools, and much more.
My name is Yulkendi Valdez, and I'm the co-founder of Forefront. In the next 10 years, the workforce is going to be 75% millennials, and millennials are the most diverse generation ever. We help businesses and their leaders get the cultural competence skills they need to manage in an ultra-diverse workforce.
At Generation Mindful, we make tools, toys, and programs that nurture emotional intelligence. People are out there, they're overwhelmed, they're confused about how do I take the brain science of attachment connection and raise my child in the best way. And what we do is we take the science and we make it simple and we make it fun.
Gift to Meal is a mobile app that helps provide a meal to someone in need each time someone snaps a photo at a partner restaurant. So we're a blend of restaurant marketing and giving back. Restaurants pay a monthly subscription to be on our app, and each time someone takes a photo, we make a donation to a local food bank that helps provide one meal to a pantry so someone in need could access it.
Good Life Growing is a social enterprise focused on combating urban decay and food insecurity by way of urban agriculture. We use a number of sustainable growing techniques ranging from organic soil to hydroponics to aquaponics, which is what we're basing our entire Arch Grant proposal on.
Hi-ho mobility. We provide on-demand shared work fleets with assets and supplies. Plumbers, electricians, etc., who are working on a campus can request rides to go anywhere on campus. The problem we're solving is that a lot of these vehicles are underutilized. So in addition to that, we're actually making the technicians more productive.
Parlor is a customer collaboration program designed to transform the way that software companies engage their users in order to better build their products. Now, through Parlor, these software teams can validate the impact of all the new potential feature ideas they're considering building before they write a single line of code.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Murillo, founder of Podcast Press, and we're our all-in-one podcast platform for brands, and we help them plan, produce, and promote audio content for smart devices.
SpendIt is a financial technology company designed to assist people to pay off debt, leverage your micropayments through everyday transactions. Currently in the market today, you can spend and save with most banks, or you can spend and invest with other financial technology companies. But we have created a third category, allow people to spend and pay off debt at the same time.
Wi-Fi plug is an app-controlled smart plug. What that basically means is you can plug any appliance into it and make it smart. Take a lamp, for example. Plug that in, download our app, and you can use it with Siri, Alexa, Google, if this then that, and anyone else really, because the unique feature about our plug is our API. We built the API platform from scratch, meaning we can integrate with new partners for demand response, for energy companies, and other B2B companies around the world.
So Clever is a platform that lets anyone list their home for either a flat fee of $3,000 if the home is less than $350,000, or 1% if the home is more expensive.
Equine SmartBed integrates advanced sensors into horsebed. It provides real-time biometric data to accurately measure the horse's health. Our technology replaces guesswork with the scientific data and also send an alert when the vital signs are below the mid-optimum.
Each year, companies leave $20 billion of cash and tax credits on the table. This is money available to them that many don't even know that they're eligible for. And Scintalock has built a software that manages the compliance that's necessary to actually collect that money. We take a very tedious and time-consuming process and make it super simple. We're H&R Block for incentives.
Obi is an IoT platform for pet health and wellness. Our first product is the patented Obi Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl combines a dishwasher-safe bowl with a smart base that connects via Wi-Fi to your phone. It tracks your pet's eating and drinking habits so you can share the data with your vet, and it automatically reorders your pet food for you. And what's even better, the data that we gather is incredibly valuable to the pet industry, and they're already using it to create more targeted and personalized products and services.
Hundreds of millions of kids around the world aren't being educated in reading in the way that they need or deserve. I'm going to change that. My name is Alex Tavares. My company is TVAR EdTech. Our flagship product is the ReadRead, the first device that allows kids to independently learn how to read.
SwipeSum is the first and most transparent place online for any business to find the best credit card processing solution for their unique business setup at the best price.
Please welcome the founders of our 2018 cohort of Arch Grant recipient companies. And it got cut off a little at the bottom there, but thanks to both Bayer and Wells Fargo advisors for naming grants for this year, for 2018.
Hi, my name is Arch Patry. I am the founder of Label Insight, and this is Ronak Sheth, our CEO. Before I get to what they asked me to do, I should note that in 2012, when we won an Arch Grant, all of us were shoved on a stairwell because they wanted to take a picture. This is quite different. It's quite a show that you guys have thrown here. But one thing that isn't different is the level of excitement that we felt. And it is great to see that excitement continue today and even grow. And for that, I'm very grateful to all of you, and I'm very grateful to be part of this story of Arch Grants. I guess I should get to what they asked me to say. On behalf of the 2012 Arch Grants recipient cohorts, I want to congratulate all of you and welcome you to this elite club. What you should know is there are hundreds of startups before you and thousands of people in this community who support Arch Grants, and now they support you. Our business, our trajectory was changed almost immediately after we won an Arch Grant, and I sincerely hope that happens to you as well. Congratulations, and thank you so much.
Good evening. So the next part of the evening is where the rubber really hits the road. This incredible celebration that we all just took part in to welcome the newest entrepreneurs to Arch Grants would not be possible without the generous support of everyone in this room and the St. Louis community. Dheeraj and I know firsthand what that feels like and the meaning that it can create for a business like ours. As Dheeraj mentioned, we were an inaugural recipient in 2012. We've gone on to raise $35 million in capital and employ over 50 people in the St. Louis community. Also, because we know how meaningful it can be, we're one of the sponsors, and we're excited to be one of the sponsors of Arch Grants, a company that's been touched by the organization and now giving back. So for this next part, I'm hopeful to see lots and lots of hands in the air as we ask for some audience participation. Thank you very much.
I want to welcome back to the stage the Steve Davis Trio. They're going to be joining us as the soundtrack to raising capital this evening. I hope tonight has left each of you even more excited about the spirit of innovation in St. Louis and the important role that Arch Grants is playing. This room is full of doers, and the one thing we all have in common, from the entrepreneur at your table to the Fortune 500 CEOs, is a spirit of hustle, work ethic, and perseverance. We are all driven by a purpose to build, to make, to connect. The Arch Grants purpose is one closely tied to changing the conversation in St. Louis about who we are and where we are going. Let's all take part in passing this fire on to the next generation of Arch Grants winners. Hands up high. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for supporting and celebrating the sound of St. Louis. This is what raising all this capital sounds like, and it's glorious to hear.
So I've just gotten the final count. In just this room tonight, we raised 2 more Arch Grants.
Wow.
2 more companies will come here because of what we've done here tonight, and the texts are still coming in.
But I'd like to take a moment to thank all of you and Arch Grants for selecting me to host this evening. And finally, thank you to everyone who traveled here from far and wide, my family, and the Arch Grants family. There's truly something special in this room.